Now we have a truly long and complicated story. Kenny Rogers Roasters established 6 shops in Beijing between 1994 and 1997. The license ended in 2002, then things went weird. You might want to come back to the cover picture anytime. Rogers met a couple of difficulties from day one. First, they sold roasted chicken. Chinese customers back then thought the only way Americans cook chicken is by frying. There were enough places in Beijing making Chinese-style roasted or slow-cooked chicken. Second, the affordable mid-range American diner or family restaurant market was not mature yet. They were visibly bigger and grander than KFC, even having a location in the Beijing International Club where diplomats hang out. The restaurants are huge compared to places like Pizza Hut or Popeyes. The rent must have been pretty expensive, so customers expected higher class than fast food. They want steaks. Thirdly, it wasn't strong back home in the States. In '98, shortly after they opened their last Beijing shop, the American company became bankrupt and operations transferred to a Malaysian partner. Nobody in China knew Rogers' Seinfeld promotion episode. I haven't been to any Rogers restaurants back then, unfortunately. However, I distinctly remember they have a signature item, rice chicken burger. This was a brave step ahead in localizing the menu. Did they take it from their branches in Southeast Asia? Instead of buns, they had 2 bricks of rice sandwiched in the roasted chicken fillet. You can imagine it like a spam musubi from Hawaii or one of those fancy onigiris, but the rice is toasted, also flavored with barbecue sauce. The idea stayed in China long after the restaurant left. You sometimes see successor versions in supermarket frozen food sections, usually with teriyaki sauce and plain rice. Fancier ones have differently flavored rice. They didn't use Kenny Rogers himself as a mascot straight up. They have this giant chicken figure. Do you remember KFC's giant chicken for the Asia Pacific region called Chicky? This one looks like a knockoff. The series of Rogers stores suffered a similar parent company change like A&W's in 2002. The Chinese management lost their license, so they renamed it to LeJazz. 乐杰士. It sounds similar in Chinese, but legally different. Kenny Rogers has made some jazz music. I guess it works. The Malaysian owners of Rogers built a few new locations with varying degrees of success. They still aimed high and held onto the grand image, as one that opened in 2007 was also located close to the embassy area, just a block away from the International Club. In 2008, they had one in the new airport terminal that stayed till 2012 or so. At least 2 were opened in Hangzhou and Wuxi, where they stayed until 2015. However, they ran into local, easternized foreign food head-on. When Rogers was converted to LeJazz, the owner admitted in interviews that his shops always needed to roll back their scope. However, this direction was soon abandoned, just like its new name. In 2004, the owner found another American brand to work with, Sizzlers. They upgraded their best LeJazz shops from fast food places to higher class diners and used the buffet salad bar as a major selling point. The rest were converted to The Pizza Company, a franchise from Thailand. They share 50% ownership. Sizzlers did much better than Rogers. They spawned a whole subgenre of easternized food, steak buffet restaurants. Sizzlers proudly announced itself on advertisement and social media as Sizzlers Steak Restaurant. People wanted steak in American restaurants, so they have them, along with ribs, fancy burgers, etc. Buy one entree, you get an unlimited supply of salad bar, dessert, and soup items. This photo is from my visit to one in 2018. I was guiding a tour with some American visitors, and they wanted to see how this American diner was doing in China. Let's see what I had. Ribeye steak with pepper sauce, buttered toast, grilled tomato, and oyster mushrooms. It was great! The steak was fresh and tender, good quality despite a bit small. Chinese steak buffets would serve larger, flatter, heavily marinated steaks that spent a long time frozen. Please stay tuned for my episode on a typical iron plate steak buffet. Although Sizzlers stayed in business long, Western food as a concept has little freshness left these days. The mall that housed this one has dilapidated and the storefront has shrunk. It was hidden behind a dozen of smaller Asian diners and snack places. In 2020, the franchise disappeared altogether. In the grand two-floor Fuchengmen Rogers restaurant, the upper floor was shared with the Pizza Company. They went out of business together in 2010s. The building was lent out to Dingxin Group, owner of the famous instant noodle brand. They installed a sit-down noodle shop and a Deco's fried chicken shop, but most of it was left unused. At the International Club, high-end customers gradually migrated to more unique foreign-owned restaurants in the Beijing CBD area, a kilometer to the east. When I wanted to have a taste of history in May 2020, I discovered the Sizzlers branch has already become independent years ago, now renamed BLT. Though, they still kept their menu and old decorations. Their food was nice, although not standing out. The genuine Sizzlers I visited back in 2018 was sold to a new restaurant chain called New Yorker. It seemed by 2020, the entire LeJazz business group has given up all their Western shops in China. They still have a successful Chinese grilled fish franchise, but all Sizzlers operated outside of China. This is the end of their legend for now. Thumbs up to them introducing so many people to foreign food and clearing a path for Easternized dishes. Thank you for watching.